All right, everybody, my next guest is an inventor who plans to launch himself into space in a homemade rocket. Here you can see a model of the rocket, which he has built in his backyard. We're not kidding about this. He isn't either. Please welcome Brian Rocket Guy Walker. Let's just start at the beginning, and I want to try and understand, why do you want to launch yourself into space?
Well, I grew up back in the early days of the space program, and I wanted to be an astronaut like most kids, but by the time I was 8 or 9 years old, I just kind of had an inward feeling that I did not have the, quote, right stuff, the academics, the desire to be in the military, and I figured that someday I'll grow up and build my own rocket. And, you know, you don't think...
So you were like, I don't have the ability to be in one of the professional rockets.
Right.
So I know what I'll do. I'll make my own.
That's right.
That's an interesting train of thought. Why not do what Lance Bass is trying to do and get on someone else's, hitch a ride on someone else's spaceship?
Well, first of all, that's a lot more money than I have. Secondly, I don't want to just take a ride with someone. My goal here is to build something on my own and do it on my own. So it's not just that I want the ride. It's that I want to know that I put myself there.
Okay, well, tell us, because I applaud the sort of the rough concept of what you're talking about, which is, I want a new kitchen sink, and I'm not going to hire people to, I'm going to do it myself. We're talking about launching yourself into space. Tell us how this works. How does this rocket work?
Well, the rocket itself is very much like a typical rocket. It uses rocket fuel, has an engine, and it accelerates.
Good so far.
There's one thing I'm going to be doing a little differently than typical. This is actually a first toy I ever invented.
What the hell?
And this
doesn't inspire a lot of confidence right here. I think I know what I'm doing. Here, take a look at this.
A typical rocket will launch under its own power, and at the very beginning of its flight, it's very unstable, and that's when it's most dangerous. I'm going to be using a system that will actually boost the rocket. Like, it'll boost the rocket into the air and give it its momentum, which gives me a much greater chance of the whole thing being successful.
And this is the thing that...
No, this is a toy. The one I have at home is about...
This is what you use to calm people down? Calm down, everybody. I know what I'm doing.
Woo! Pretty much.
You know what? I'm buying it.
Yeah. Andy, no.
Yeah. You taking investors? You sold me with that.
Are you in... you always see in documentaries and movies that astronauts have to be in top physical shape. Are you in physical shape to do this?
So I'm working on it. I mean, the past 2 years, I've been putting so much time working on the rocket that I got a little bit of beer excess to lose, but I'm in excellent shape. I've been to Russia, and I've done training in the centrifuge and the zero gravity and flown in a MiG to 80,000 feet. And I've been doing all the basic training.
Okay. It's just the beer you're having a problem with. You've gone to Russia, you've flown in a MiG, but the beer consumption is a problem.
They didn't say anything on the label that it was going to stick with me for so long.
What is the biggest risk? You know, what's the biggest risk involved?
The biggest risk is just at launch, because that's when the rocket is unstable. It doesn't have any ballistic speed built up, so that's when things could go wrong. Now,
Could go wrong? There's a good chance that they could go wrong, right?
No, not the way that I'm designing. The way that's designed to launch, I'm reducing those risks dramatically. I will be wearing a spacesuit.
Can I tell you something? Even Snoop Dogg doesn't think this is a good idea.
Well,
let me explain something to you. You've got a real problem when Snoop Dogg's like, oh, God.
No.
He's driving around in a Snoop DeVille, and he doesn't want any part of this. So this rocket, what you're saying is that at launch, I'm thinking of Wile E. Coyote. Like, he gets himself in a huge payload. At launch, there's a big explosion. You're singed, and the Roadrunner laughs at you and runs away. That's what I'm picturing in my head.
It's not quite like that. The rocket itself will be boosted into the air, and it'll launch. The capsule I'm in is a pressurized vessel. I'm wearing a spacesuit.
It's made of tinfoil. You know?
No, I actually bought...
Is it a real spacesuit?
I bought a Russian spacesuit from the Russian Space Agency.
They've got the best people.
Their spacesuits are very good.
Right, right.
There's 2 parachute systems in the capsule, 2 parachute systems in my escape area.
Let's talk about the escape area. How can you, and I'm worried about you, how can you escape from the capsule if you're in trouble?
If the way the boosted launch goes, there's a guaranteed minimum of 2,000 feet that the rocket will go, even if everything on board fails. And
if everything goes wrong, you're at least 2,000 feet in the air.
Yeah, exactly.
That's an excellent system.
Which is, well, believe it or not, it is. Because
Right.
the higher I am, the greater,
Right.
the more distance I have to deal with any problems.
So what would you do? Let's say every every little dial is telling you this is not going well, and you're 2,000 feet in the air. What do you do?
Then I release a handle, and that just basically blows me out the side, and the parachute comes out.
Blows you out the side.
It's like an ejection seat.
There's an ejection seat. Is there an opening for it, or you just crush through the side of the capsule?
You know, I'm really glad I came here because I hadn't thought about that.
Maybe you haven't thought about it.
Good idea.
I'm sorry, but maybe.
An opening. Yes, there's an opening.
There's an opening.
There's an opening.
When do you expect to launch?
Next summer.
Next summer. And you really want to do this?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. We can't talk you out of it. This is what you want to do.
No, I can't talk me out of it.
Isn't this against the law?
Well, that's...
No, I've met with the FAA, and the FAA actually is very supportive. I've met with them and talked with them about the whole process, and they want to see that I go through all the right steps to get approval. But
Are you sure they're not this, like, saying, like, oh, yes, this looks good with the right approval, and then you leave and they're like, you know, I mean, I'm being honest. Do you know that they're being honest with you?
Geez.
Yeah. Let me talk to them.
You can't fire bottle rockets.
Right.
How can you shoot, like, you know, a bunch of washing machines into the sky?
And your system does use bottle rockets. 600,000 bottle rockets.
It's all a matter of just getting clearance. I mean, the space above me is basically free space. And, you know, if someone says I can't leave, then they're basically saying I can't leave the planet.
Is that the law? So the law is that they can't keep people from... Everyone watching this right now who wants to build their own rocket can build their own rocket?
If they follow the procedures and go through the correct steps to make sure they get clearance, then, yeah, there's no law against building and launching a rocket. But
just a lot of people don't do it.
Well, no, not very many people do it. And let's face it, I don't want to punch through the passenger section of a passing 747.
Right.
So, and the FAA
Neither does anybody on a 747.
Exactly.
Want to suddenly, they're going to have to come up with another coach meal.
Exactly,
you know?
exactly.
If you want to learn more, I'm sorry, sir, we're out of chicken. You're there like, oh, I'll take beef. If you want to learn more about Rocket Guy's progress, we're going to call you Rocket Guy, check out www.rocketguy.com. You know what? You seem like a nice person, so I guess I'm wishing you well, and I hope to God everything goes well and that you'll come back and talk to us afterwards. Would you do that?
Well, I hope you come to lunch. You can come to lunch.
No way in hell. Ryan Rocket Guy Walker. We'll be right back.